Welcome to the Deltona Biz Review. Today we're taking a closer look at the Travelodge by Wyndham Deltona. It's right there at 481 Deltona Boulevard here in Deltona, Florida.
Yeah, that's the one. And what we're doing today is really digging into what people are saying online. Looking at photos, reviews on places like Yelp and TripAdvisor.
Exactly. We want to give you a clear picture. Based on actual guest experiences, we'll be hitting the key things you care about. Location, convenience, how clean it is, if it feels like good value, and what the service is really like.
Right. Trying to synthesize what locals and visitors are actually reporting. So maybe let's start with that location.
Good idea. So 481 Deltona Boulevard, Deltona, Florida, 32725. Did you happen to see a phone number?
I did, yeah. Yelp lists it as 800-760-6483. And location-wise, accessibility seems to be a real highlight in some ways.
How so?
Well, proximity to airports, for one. TripAdvisor mentions it's only about 5.2 miles from Orlando Sanford International.
Oh, it's quite close.
Yeah, and about 25 miles, give or take, from Daytona Beach Regional Airport. So depending on where you're flying into, it could be pretty convenient.
Okay, that makes sense for travelers. And what about driving? Getting there by car?
Seems straightforward, too. We saw a Yelp review from Tanya S., I think it was. She specifically said it's right off I-4.
Ah, okay. Major highway access. That's usually a big plus. Saves you navigating tricky back roads.
Exactly. Easy on, easy off. And it seems like once you're there, you've got quite a few things nearby.
Like what? Food options?
Definitely. Reviews mention a whole bunch of places within walking distance. You've got McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Waffle House, IHOP. One reviewer, Will G., said Hardee's is right across the street.
Wow. Okay, so plenty of fast food and casual dining right there.
Yeah, and he also mentioned a Bagel King and a racetrack gas station just down the street. Useful for grabbing breakfast or essentials.
And didn't someone mention shops nearby too? Not just food.
Right. That was Will G. again. He said the Orange City shops are only about a mile away.
So you're not totally isolated? You can get to restaurants, some basic shopping pretty easily?
Seems like it. And for little outings, TripAdvisor's FAQ section points out the Bulldog Pub is just like 0.2 miles away, and Bill Keller Park is about half a mile.
Okay, so location-wise, it sounds pretty convenient on paper. Easy access, stuff nearby.
It does, but, and this is a significant but, when you start looking at what people say about their stay inside the hotel, a different picture starts to emerge, particularly around cleanliness.
Ah, yeah, I noticed that too. Reading through the reviews, cleanliness seems to be, a recurring and pretty significant issue, doesn't it?
It really does. On both Yelp and TripAdvisor, you see quite a few comments that frankly raise some serious red flags.
Like what specifically? Give us some examples.
Okay, well, one person on Yelp, Don V., called the rooms cleanish, which isn't exactly a glowing endorsement, right? And he mentioned finding things left behind by previous guests.
Suggests the cleaning isn't very thorough.
Exactly. Then Will G., also on Yelp, called it a surprising mess and mentioned a lingering smell. It gets worse, though.
Ooh.
Jade S. on Yelp used the phrase infested with roaches.
Oof. Okay, that's a deal breaker for most people, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. And Jeremy S. described cleanliness as absolutely non-existent. He mentioned a bathroom door held on with masking tape, comforters with burn holes, just basic maintenance and hygiene seemingly ignored.
Masking tape. Wow, that paints a picture.
It does, and the complaints keep coming. Ace R. said their room smelled like pee. Arlini P. mentioned rooms smelling like cigarettes, even non-smoking ones, apparently, and littered sidewalks outside.
So it's not just inside the rooms, but the general upkeep of the property, too.
Seems that way. Samantha W., who identified herself as a local on Yelp, called the place disgusting. She cited mold, dust, stained sheets. Florida F. said their non-smoking room smelled like an ashtray, and there was visible filth on the furniture.
It's just story after story of really unpleasant conditions.
Sure.
Are these older reviews, or is this still happening?
That's the concerning part. Some are older, yes, but we saw a TripAdvisor review from Lisa C., dated January 2025, so quite recent mentioning, and this is pretty graphic, feces and urine left in the toilet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Plus, holes in walls, stained pillows, sheets that didn't fit properly, and dead cockroaches. The consistency across time is, it's troubling.
It really is.
Yeah.
Amidst all that negativity about cleanliness, did anyone find anything positive?
Well, interestingly, a couple of the Yelp reviewers we mentioned earlier, Will G. and Tanya S., did say the beds were comfortable.
Okay, so comfortable beds. That's something, I guess.
It is something, but you have to ask, right? How much does a comfortable bed matter if you're worried about, basic sanitation
Yeah,
or roaches?
exactly. It definitely makes you question the overall value you're getting. Which brings us to the next point.
Oh.
The price.
Uh-huh.
What are people paying, and do they feel it's worth it?
Good question. TripAdvisor gives an average nightly figure around 80 acres, but that obviously fluctuates.
Right. Depends on the date, events, etc.
Exactly. And we saw Don V on Yelp mention paying $99, and he felt that was too high. He thought maybe $70 would be more appropriate given the state of things.
So straight away, someone felt it was overpriced for what they got.
Yeah. But then you have the flip side. Tanya S., who we mentioned, found the bed comfortable. She also found the value proposition quite good for her specific situation.
Which was?
She was there during a festival near Deltona Speedway, and she said the Travelodge was about a third of the cost of hotels closer to the Speedway.
Ah, okay. So in a high-demand situation where other places are charging a premium, this might look like a bargain.
Precisely. Context matters. If your priority is just a cheap bed during a major event, maybe the location and price work. But for many other guests, that price, even if it seems low initially, doesn't feel justified because of the conditions.
Right. Like, I remember seeing one review, Arlene P., I think.
Yeah, after describing the cigarette smell and some service issues, she said, $128 is not even worth the bed I'm sitting on.
That's a pretty damning statement about value. It says the price, whatever it was for her, felt completely disconnected from the quality.
Absolutely. It highlights that cheap doesn't equal value if the experience is fundamentally poor. And the ratings sort of reflect this tension.
What do the overall ratings look like on TripAdvisor?
The overall score is 2.8 out of 5 bubbles based on over 800 reviews, which is not great.
No, definitely below average. What about the specific value rating?
Interestingly, that's slightly higher at 3.1 out of 5.
So a little better than the overall score, but still not exactly stellar. What do you make of that slight difference?
Well, it could suggest that, yeah, the price point does attract people. Maybe it looks okay on paper. But then the actual experience, particularly with cleanliness and maybe service, pulls the overall satisfaction down, leaving them feeling they didn't get good value after all.
That makes sense. The initial price might seem okay, but the reality of the stay disappoints, which leads us naturally into service. How are staff interactions reported?
Much like the rest, it seems pretty mixed. There's no single consistent story here.
Okay. Give us the range.
Well, on the one hand, you have Jade S. on Yelp, who actually praised the maintenance team, said they were good.
Okay, a positive point.
Yes, but in the same breath, she called management and the cleaning crew horrible. So inconsistency even within the staff, perhaps.
Interesting. What other negative experiences came up?
Arlene P. described the front desk staff as a bit rude initially. This was when she requested a first-floor room for her brother who was handicapped. Apparently, they only found a suitable room after physically seeing his difficulty with stairs.
That doesn't sound very proactive or accommodating, does it? Raises questions about their sensitivity and willingness to help.
Right. And TripAdvisor had several negative service accounts, too. Someone named Up Cognac reported being double charged.
Ouch. That's never good.
No. Another, John Doe, said they were charged a tax for checking in early, even though they claimed the hotel seemed empty, which just feels unwelcoming.
Yeah, nickel and diming like that can leave a bad taste.
Definitely. And Wally Crew had a bad experience where the hotel apparently didn't receive their reservation, and the staff was reportedly unhelpful in sorting it out. So you see themes of potential billing errors, inflexibility, and poor problem solving.
Okay, so quite a few negative interactions reported. Was there any positive feedback on service?
Yes, there was. It's not all negative. Joseph D. on TripAdvisor specifically said the staff was friendly and helpful.
Right, so some people do have good interactions.
It seems so. And TripAdvisor's specific service rating is 3.3 out of 5. Again, slightly better than the overall score, but not amazing. It suggests, like we said, a mixed bag. Positive experiences happen, but the negative ones seem quite prevalent in the reviews.
Gotcha. And wasn't there a mention of language barriers potentially being an issue too?
Yes. Will G. on Yelp noted that as a possibility, something that could affect communication with staff. Just another factor to potentially consider regarding the service experience.
Okay, so we've got location, cleanliness issues, questionable value, and mixed service. How do these experiences compare between, say, visitors from out of town versus locals? Did any locals weigh in?
Yes, actually. And it's quite telling. We mentioned Samantha W. earlier, who reviewed on Yelp and explicitly identified as a local.
Right, the one who called it disgusting.
Exactly. She apparently stayed there because of an issue at her own home. Her review was just scathing, compared the conditions unfavorably to places she'd seen in war-torn areas.
Oh, that's quite a statement from someone who lives right there in the community.
It really is. And it strongly suggests these aren't just isolated incidents that maybe only a tired traveler would notice. The problems seem apparent even to residents.
So the local perspective confirms the severity of the issues. And do the visitors' reviews generally align with that?
Overwhelmingly, yes. Most visitor reviews echo the same core complaints. The lack of cleanliness is paramount, followed by concerns about value for money because of those conditions, and then the instances of poor or inconsistent service. The narratives are remarkably similar.
Okay, so bringing this all together, if someone listening is considering the Travelodge by Wyndham Deltona, what's the bottom line?
Well, the synthesis of all this feedback points to a hotel that, yes, has a genuinely convenient location, access to roads, airports, restaurants, shops. That seems to be a real positive.
And the price point might look tempting, especially during busy times elsewhere.
Correct. That initial appeal is there, however, and it's a very big however. The sheer volume and consistency of complaints about cleanliness are extremely difficult to overlook.
Yeah, the reports of filth, smells, pests, poor maintenance. It's pretty extensive.
It really is. And while you do get the odd mention of a comfortable bed or a friendly staff member, those seem to be overshadowed by the recurring negative themes. It feels like those are more the exception than the rule, based on the balance of reviews.
So the convenience factor might be negated by the actual experience inside the hotel.
That seems to be the crux of it for many reviewers. The potential is their good location, maybe a reasonable price structure, but the execution, particularly regarding basic upkeep and hygiene, seems to be severely lacking according to these guests. One reviewer even mentioned its amazing potential if managed differently.
Right, highlighting that gap between what it could be and what people are experiencing.
Exactly. So for you, the listener, considering this place, you really have to weigh that location, convenience, and potential cost savings against these very significant, very consistently reported problems with cleanliness and the gamble on service quality.
It really comes down to personal priorities, doesn't it? What's your tolerance level for these kinds of issues?
Precisely. And we absolutely recommend you look at the most recent reviews you can find before booking anything. Things can change, but recent feedback is usually the best indicator. Always do that final check yourself.
Good advice. Well, this has been our deep dive into the Travelodge by Wyndham Deltona here on the Deltona Biz Review. If you found this analysis helpful, we'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe for more reviews like this.
And if you have advertising inquiries or just questions in general, feel free to email us at deltonabizreview@gmail.com.
Finally, just a thought to leave you with.
Yeah.
When a hotel is in such a prime spot, surrounded by amenities and easy access, what does it say when the main thing people talk about is the poor condition inside the hotel?
Yeah, it really makes you think about that balance between location, price, and the fundamental expectation of a clean, decent place to stay. Definitely something to consider as you plan your travels in or around Deltona.